So what happens when a technology like AI just completely changes the game overnight? Well, today we're going to talk about a company called 𝗬𝗲. They didn't just survive this massive shift, they totally crushed it. We're going to break down exactly how they figured out how to build trust, not just with their customers, but with the AI that's basically running the internet now.
And really, it all comes down to this one huge question, right? It's something a lot of us are thinking about. How in the world do you build trust with an algorithm? I mean, how do you prove you're the real deal when the gatekeeper isn't even human? Well, stick with me because that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Before all this happened, 𝗬𝗲 was, well, they were pretty much just another online store. Nothing special, really. Just another face in a very, very big crowd, trying to compete against the big guys.
And here's the thing. On paper, they looked great. They had this massive digital catalog, like thousands of tools. But you know what? It didn't matter. Having the products just wasn't enough. They were getting completely buried by the Amazons of the world. You know, stuck on page 10 of the search results where nobody ever looks. All that selection meant absolutely nothing if people couldn't find them. This slide right here, it just perfectly captures their whole problem. The website would list something super generic, like angle grinder model 3B. But actual customers, people with real projects, they were asking things like, hey, what angle grinder can I use to cut rebar without it totally overheating on me? See the difference? There was this massive gap between what the site offered and what people actually needed help with. Someone who was there at the time said something that just nails it. They said the company was like a vending machine. You put your money in, a product pops out, that's it. No guidance, no real hands-on knowledge, no soul. And as we're about to see in this new world, being a vending machine was a recipe for disaster. And then everything changed. AI showed up and just flipped the whole board. It completely rewrote the rules of the game. For 𝗬𝗲, this was it. It was a sink or swim moment. Adapt or become irrelevant. All of a sudden, these AI systems, like Google's AI overviews, got a whole lot smarter. They weren't just looking for keywords anymore. No, they were actively searching for genuine human value. The algorithm was actually learning how to spot and promote content that showed someone knew what they were talking about from real, hands-on experience. And this whole new world was built around this one core idea, EEAT. This is super important, so let's just quickly break it down. Experience, that means have you actually done the thing? Expertise, do you really know your stuff? Authoritativeness, are other people pointing to you as the expert? And finally, trustworthiness. Are you reliable and honest? These four things became the new gold standard online. And it makes sense, right? AIs are learning from all the stuff we humans have ever written, so they're basically being trained to look for the exact same signals of trust that we do. So that was the new reality. And for a company that was basically a vending machine, yeah, this could have been game over. But they didn't fold. Instead, they got smart. They created a blueprint, a whole new strategy to rebuild their business around those four pillars we just talked about. First up, they went after experience. They realized, okay, it's not enough to just sell this stuff. We have to prove we know how to use it. They had to show real-world, get-your-hands-dirty experience. And this is exactly how they did it. They launched something called the Tool Master Workshop. So instead of seeing some boring stock photo of a drill, you got a video of this guy Dave, a real carpenter, actually using it. He's talking about how it feels in your hand, the torque, how it works on a real job. This wasn't just some marketing fluff. This was proof. You could see the experience right there on screen. All right, so experience? Check. But that was just step one. Next, they had to tackle expertise. They needed to become a place you'd go to learn, not just to buy something. So what they do? They built something called the hardware helix. Think of it like the ultimate encyclopedia for builders. They had these super detailed articles written by real experts, like a mechanical engineer named Dr. Evelyn Reed, who'd break down really complex stuff. They also built these cool interactive tools, like calculators to help you figure out how many boards you need for a deck. And this is so key. They weren't just pumping out blog posts. They were creating tools that were actually useful and made people's projects easier. Okay, so now they're showing experience, they're showing expertise. Awesome. But here's the catch. Online, it doesn't really matter if you're the only one saying you're an expert. You need other people to say it too, and that's pillar number 3, authoritativeness. They had to become a voice that the whole industry looked up to. So they put their experts in the spotlight. Dave and Dr. Reed started showing up on the local news. They were writing guest articles for well-known trade magazines, and guess what happened? Other experts, other trusted websites started quoting them. They started linking back to Toolmaster Pro. And you better believe the search AI saw that. That's the signal. That external validation is what tells the algorithm, hey, these guys are the real deal. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it might be the most important one of all, trustworthiness. This was all about being open, being human, and building a real, solid connection with their customers. They went for what they called radical transparency. They started showing exactly where their products were sourced from. They made their return policy super simple and easy to understand. They even created a Meet the Experts page, so you could see the real faces and credentials of the people giving you advice. And this is huge because it showed that there were real, accountable human beings behind the website. That's the bedrock of trust, both for us and for the AIs that are trying to think like us. So, after all that work, nailing experience, expertise, authority, and trust, what was the big payoff? Well, they became the AI's favorite. Their entire identity just shifted. This new mantra they adopted says it all. It wasn't about just selling tools anymore. They were now partners, they were guides, they were enthusiasts, just like the people they were selling to.
And the result? It was incredible. Remember how they were totally lost in the search results before? Well, now, if you asked a tricky question about a tool, there was a good chance Google's AI overview would pull the answer right from one of Dave's videos or Dr. Reed's articles. They didn't just climb the rankings, they became the answer. So what's the big takeaway from the Toolmaster Pro story? I think it shows that in a world that feels like it's being taken over by AI, the most human things about us, our experience, our expertise, our real passion, are actually more valuable than ever. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? In this age of AI, maybe the most powerful tool you have is just being authentic.